What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap Show. NFL Week 2 was a disaster for me when it came to sports betting. I was way off. I went heavy on the Cowboys and the Indianapolis Colts, and that's why it was just a shitty week overall. We had the 10 games for the 1 o'clock slate, the most it'll ever be all season. But it's week 3 now. It's a new week. It's a new refresher. And look, let's start off with the Thursday night football game, the Patriots at the Jets. Look, I love some of these parlay bets that Vegas gives us, but it makes sense why Vegas is always winning. They always got the upper hand no matter what. They're always going to win in the long run. So you have to find these type of games where it's like, all right, who am I going to pick on the money line and who am I going to pick to score in this type of form? But I love the Jets on the Thursday night football game. And I think anytime touchdown is Breece Hall. I think this is Breece Hall's game. He played the Patriots twice already. The first game he played him did not really pan out, but the second game he played him over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. So I'm expecting big things from Breece Hall, and they're running for the New York Jets at home, their first home game. They're 1-1. Aaron Rodgers is really healthy right now, and they got a great defense. So I think the Jets right now are locked in, and that's why I'm going with the Jets, and I'm going to go money line. I always bet money line because sometimes the spreads are so fluky to me. You know, some of the spreads, I think there was a 2.5 spread last weekend that it didn't hit. You know, and I think it was the Monday Night Football game. Obviously, that was a disaster. A lot of people went Philadelphia, including myself, but Atlanta Falcons took the dub. So, you know, shout out to them. And I blame the Eagles coaching staff for losing that game. Everyone blames Saquon Barkley for dropping that pass. Well, let's go to the second drive of that game. The Philadelphia Eagles on 1st and goal, what do? They don't hand it to their best player. They throw a screen pass to their receiver. Then they ended up throwing it again. It's like 1st and goal. Let's give it to Saquon back-to-back times to get that touchdown. And then Saquon ended up getting a touchdown. They called it back. It was just a disaster for Philadelphia. It just added up. Yes, Saquon Barkley's drop was huge, but it was the coaching, you know, that led up to that drop. You know, what about why didn't you feed Saquon in the red zone? You know, why on the first or second drive you take Saquon out and put the second back in? Like, we got to win games here. You know, I just think the Philadelphia head coach is not fit for that system. He always looks mad. He always looks like he's a victim out there. It's like, bro, dude, stop looking pissed off at the world. Like, really, you just hate life right now, and it makes sense. You have so much talent around you, yet you guys are losing games at home to the Atlanta Falcons. Like, it's crazy to me. But the Thursday night football game, I'm going Jets money line. The spread's 6. That's a little too much for me, but I'll go with the over. 38.5. I'll go with the over in this game. I just love the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a locked-in game. First home game all season. We remember the disaster that happened last year with the Jets, but right now it's a new year, new season, and I expect the Jets to really go right through the New England Patriots. Yes, they're well coached. The Patriots have a solid defense, but overall, I'm going the Jets on the Thursday night football game. And then we got the Denver Broncos versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is by far the biggest story in the NFL today. It's definitely the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and why they are 2-0 right now, and Baker Mayfield is locked in. Shout out to Baker Mayfield, shout out to Mike Evans, and shout out to Chris Godwin, the number 1 receiver in fantasy right now, Chris Godwin. And I think in a couple of my drafts, he got drafted in the 9th and 10th round. That's pretty crazy, right? I mean, right now, the first 2 weeks, Chris Godwin has been going crazy, dude. 2 touchdowns, 200 yards receiving, just straight balling. And Baker Mayfield, 5 tutties, only 1 pick. And then you got the rookie Bo Nix, 4 interceptions. It's just like, I'm obviously going Tampa here. If something crazy were to happen, yes, I get that, but I'm going Tampa with my pick here. I'm going Jets, Tampa in a parlay. I like 3 money line parlays, 3 touchdown running back scores, and 3 receiving scores, 3 wide receiver scores. So you got literally 3 running backs, 3 receivers, and 3 money lines all on one slate for the money line to hit, for that big parlay to hit. It hits every single week, and you just got to get it to the right point. But I'm going Tampa Bay right now. I think Tampa Bay is the hottest team. I think they're just running through people right now. So let me take Tampa over the trash Denver Broncos. I'm going to go money line, even though the spread's 6.5. I just hate betting the spread, bro. It's just, the spread is so fluky to me. It really is. It's just, yes, you can alternate it. I get that. But at the end of the day, the money line is where it's at. Because a lot of the times when you do these spreads, it ends up missing by like a point or 2. And it makes sense why Vegas has these type of spreads. They do the math. They do the analytics. They know what's going to happen. And there's a reason why it's like this. but I'm going Tampa unless something crazy were to happen, a big upset. Even though upsets were heavy last weekend, I'm not convinced that the Denver Broncos are going to go into Tampa Bay right now and beat Tampa. No way. I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I like a Mike Evans touchdown score. And then we got my Indianapolis Colts hosting the Chicago Bears. And look, I went Colts last week and I was off, but you know what? Let me double down on the Colts this week. At home, look, I'm going Colts here. We look at Caleb Williams. He's not ready yet for that spotlight yet. I think it's going to take a couple years for him to develop into a true quarterback in the NFL today. It's just how it goes sometimes. But right now, the Colts, man, Anthony Richardson has got to get locked in. And I'm worried about the Indianapolis Colts secondary. It's been our weakness for the past 8 years, and it looks like we haven't really fixed much of it in our run-stop game. It's just like, man, Josh Jacobs 8 against us last weekend, over 100 yards rushing. Even though he fumbled on the goal line, that messed up my parlay for anytime touchdown for Josh Jacobs. Fumbled on the goal line. That's just how football goes sometimes. Josh Jacobs fumbled on the goal line. Saquon Barkley was a half-inch short, and they called him back, and then they do the tush push. It's just like, man, dude, that's the downside of betting on Saquon for a touchdown is when they get inside the red zone, they like to do that tush push. It's like, come on, bro. Saquon Barkley's literally the most talented running back today. Probably the best running back in today's NFL, yet you're not going to feed him the rock. Philly's just dumb for that. But back to the Indianapolis Colts game. I'm going Colts. I think Anthony Richardson's going to get locked in. I think Jonathan Taylor, this is a big game for JT. I think this is a game where you're going to bet on Jonathan Taylor to score a touchdown and really ball out. Over 80 yards rushing, I like that bet. I just think, JT, this is the game to eat. And, you know, Caleb Williams in Chicago, they're trying to still find their identity. They're a solid defensive team. But overall, it's just like Caleb Williams, he doesn't look right. You got DJ Moore, you got Keenan Allen, you got Rome Odunze, the rookie receiver out of Washington. Like, there's so many stars on that team. It's just going to take a while to develop. But right now, I'm going to Indianapolis Colts. I think Colts all day in this matchup, man. I really do. They got some banged up injuries, like Keenan Allen's questionable for this game. Rome Odunze's questionable as well. But let me go Colts here, man. I'm going Colts. I don't care what the line says right now. Colts need to win at home here. This is a huge game for the Indianapolis Colts. We cannot start off 0-3, and if the Colts do start off 0-3, they're going to miss the playoffs this year. That's just the reality of the NFL. That's the reality of real life. Like, you got to come up with a win some way, shape, or form in the NFL, and the Colts need to do it this weekend at home against the Chicago Bears. Let me take the Colts. I'll take the 1-point spread, whatever. I'm going Colts right now. I'm going Colts. I'm all in on the Indianapolis Colts. Take off, Colts. Let's go! And then we got the LA Chargers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, both teams are 2-0. Pittsburgh's 1.5-point favorites in this matchup. But you know what? What I'm seeing from the LA Chargers, I'm going the away team right now. I'm going the Chargers here. I'll take the underdog team right now. The reason being is they're more locked in offensively. Right now, I get it. Justin Fields, he's got the starting nod, which I agree. Justin Fields should have it. We're talking about Russell Wilson way past his prime. He's done. The hunger's gone. He's already rich. Like, he's not worried about football anymore. He's not like, that's not his main priority. Where Russell Wilson, when he came up at Wisconsin, he was playing hungry, playing like he was broke, playing for something. Now, you know, married to a celebrity, like, that's the last thing on his mind is getting up at 6 a.m. and going to train. Let me tell you that. Like, Russell Wilson's living a good life right now. So, like, he doesn't care if he doesn't start whatsoever. So, you know, Justin Fields is their starter, their leader. George Pickens going to take off. I just think it's going to take some time there. I do think there's a lot of potential in Pittsburgh, but let me take the Chargers, man. I think Justin Herbert's locked in, 3 touchdowns this year, only 1 pick. You got J.K. Dobbins, 2 touchdowns, 266 yards rushing, top 3 fantasy running back right now. Shout to Dobbins. I'm telling you, they're locked in. I think the Chargers, man, like I said, Harbaugh, great coach, coming out of Michigan, won a national championship this past year in Michigan, dealt with, you know, all the BS that the NCAA allocates every single time. I mean, the NCAA, they make billions of dollars yearly, dude, and they're paying, you know, their players peanuts all of a sudden now. The NIL deals, you know, players are excited to get a couple million here and there. Well, it's like, well, the owners are pulling in like $2 or $3 billion a yearly. So, yeah, they can cough up $1 million or $2 million and not even worry about it, bro. They're not tripping. If they're giving you $1 million, dude, how much do you think they're making in 1 month? Like, let that sink in. So, they're still getting over on even the athletes in the NCAA right now. They're still getting over on it, on the NIL deals. They're just how it is. But Harbaugh right now going to a new system, back to the NFL. He was with the San Francisco 49ers, literally one play away from a Super Bowl. That's how far he was, and he lost to his brother. So, Jim lost to his brother John, man. It's just how it goes sometimes. But I'm going with the Chargers here. Going into Pittsburgh, I think the Chargers eat this game, and I think they win convincingly. I really do. I just think it's going to be a long game for the Pittsburgh Steelers offensively. I think the flow's not going to be there. So let me go Chargers, Justin Herbert and company, the away team getting a big win in Pittsburgh. And then we got the Houston Texans versus the Minnesota Vikings. Both teams are 2-0. Surprisingly, Minnesota is 2-0. And you know what? A lot of people are high and proud on the Houston Texans, which I am too. C.J. Stroud and company, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, probably the best receiver, top 3 receiver right now, Nico Collins. Justin Jefferson's number 1. We know that. Nico's in the top 3, probably number 2 right now. But you know what? Let me go Minnesota here. Let me go the home team. They are locked in, man. Sam Darnold was once counted out. Right now, looking like a solid number 1 right now. 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. Even though you do have Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the NFL right now, he's questionable right now. Yeah, but look, I think he's going to play. Justin Jefferson's going to play this game. He understands the magnitude of this game. He understands, hey, if we start out 3-0, that's huge for us. We can afford to take an L week 4 or 5. That's fine, but let's get a dub here. So let me go Minnesota at home. And I understand Houston is nice. They got Joe Mixon and company, Nico, all them. They got a great talent around them. But right now, Minnesota's playing by far the best football. Top 3 teams right now. Minnesota's playing the best. They're locked in. They beat the 49ers, dude. Like, come on. Like, I understand without McCaffrey, but they beat the 49ers and they beat the trash Giants. But I think they get a close win here. It's going to be super close, but let me go Minnesota here. I'll take the under right here. And let me go Minnesota. I just think it's going to be a defensive battle. I think it's going to be a low scoring in the first half. Then they're eventually going to take off. But I like Minnesota. I think Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson are locked in. I think Minnesota surprised a lot of people, even Minnesota Viking fans. They surprised right now. Let's get the dub against Houston Texans. And I understand Houston's a favorite right now, which they should be. But right now, we saw what happened last week. Like 6 or 7 underdogs hit last week. So let me go underdog right now. I'll take Minnesota at Minnesota. And then we got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are 2-0 right now. They're 2.5-point favorites. And what I saw last week from Philly, the coaching disaster, everything that added up for the Philadelphia Eagles, let me go to New Orleans Saints. They ran right through the Dallas Cowboys. I should have never bet on the Cowboys. I know better than that. I got to be more disciplined than that. Because the Cowboys, we look at Dak Prescott getting paid, like $60 million a year? And he's won 2 playoff games in 8 years in Dallas. 2 playoff games in 8 years. That's their guy. So that's what Jerry Jones said. Hey, this is our guy right now. We're going to go Dak Prescott, a guy that's only won 2 playoff games. Like, let's see how that goes, Dallas. Let's see. Another year, the same situation's going to happen in Dallas. Until they get a different quarterback and a new system, and Jerry Jones sells his organization to one of his relatives, Dallas is going to be in the same boat that they're always been in. They're going to make the playoffs and lose in the playoffs. That's just how it goes. They haven't won since 95, bro. Like, in 95, no, iPhones weren't even out in 95. Like, that's crazy. But right now, let me go New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr's locked in. By far the best quarterback right now in the first 2 weeks. We can just give him respect right now because I kind of underestimated Derek Carr, to be honest with you. I mean, Derek Carr, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, 443 yards passing. Then you got Kamara, 4 touchdowns. Like crazy, all against the Cowboys. Just raped the Cowboys. Literally said, Cowboys, you guys are all prima donnas. All you guys are just fake. Everybody's fake on Dallas. Like, you guys are just nobodies. That's really what Kamara was saying to them. And then we got Rashid, man, 2 touchdowns. Just straight up balling right now. So I think the Saints are by far the hottest team in the NFL. 100%. They're the number 1 team right now, and they're surprised everybody. And I think they get it done. I think they win in a close one. I think they win by a little bit, like 3 or 4 points, something like that. I think it's going to be close. But what Jalen Hurts, man, I mean, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. It's like Jalen Hurts is hitting this point where it's like, is he really improving? Like, I feel like Jalen Hurts has kind of been the same quarterback the past couple of years. And don't get me wrong, he's an elite quarterback. But I'm saying, like, let's move the envelope for Jalen Hurts. Let's get over this hump. Let's get over, whatever's going on in the Philadelphia Eagles locker room. Because right now, what I saw on Monday Night Football was a disaster. Bad coaching, just bad play calling. It's like you got Saquon Barkley, the best player on the Philadelphia Eagles. Give him the ball more. Like that, is it that hard? Like, is it really that hard? Philly just overthought it, man. They really did. And they just didn't give Saquon enough touches in that game for them to win. They just kind of shied away from it and just got too complacent, was playing not to lose instead of playing to win. But let me take New Orleans. I'll take New Orleans money line here, and I'll go with the over. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. 49.5 is the over-under. Let me go with the over in this matchup. This is the 1 o'clock slate here. I love these 1 o'clock slates. Even though last weekend was 10 of them, I think this week is 7, but still the 1 o'clock slates are lit, dude. They really are. Let me go New Orleans Saints at home. So they'll be 3-0 to start off the season. Shout out to Derek Carr, New Orleans. Nobody saw this coming. And then we got the Green Bay Packers versus the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's 0-2. Tennessee's a 1.5-point favorites. This is a toss-up game. This is such a 50-50 game. I really don't know who to pick in this matchup. Will Levis has not looked good. 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Just kind of off. Calvin Ridley, nice. Over 100 yards receiving in a tutty this year. But let me take Green Bay. Even though Jordan Love is out, you know, if Josh Jacobs does not play and he's questionable right now, it's same thing with Jaden Reed. If they're both questionable and they don't play, obviously I'm going to go Tennessee Titans. However, if Josh Jacobs does play, I'm going Green Bay. Just what I saw last week against Indy, their run game, I don't think Tennessee has the capability to stop Josh Jacobs and company, especially the way Malik played last week. A lot, just really smart quarterback decisions. That's what I saw from Malik, man. It just all smart, just didn't overthink anything, didn't try to push the envelope too hard, just making the right quarterback decisions. So let me take Green Bay in this matchup. However, if Josh Jacobs is out, I'm going Tennessee. If Josh Jacobs is in, let me go Green Bay in a close matchup. And this game's spooky. I probably won't touch it. But just if I had a gun to my head, I'm going Green Bay over the Tennessee Titans. And then we got the New York Giants versus the Cleveland Browns. Browns are 6.5-point favorites. Look, this is definitely one of the other games where I could see the Giants finally getting their first W. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns here. We're talking about, you know, Deshaun Watson, who has 1 touchdown and 2 picks. We're talking about Deshaun Watson, who literally was at the top of his game back in like 2016, winning national championships at Clemson, getting drafted, you know, making all this money. Then all of a sudden, just allegations came out, and then he just hasn't been the same player since. Like, straight up. Like, I don't know what's up with Deshaun Watson right now, but mentally, he's not there on the football field. Is it the money, or what is it? Is it the stuff that's going outside, the massage parlor, the rubs, all this other crap that's surrounding Deshaun Watson right now? But right now, what I'm seeing from Deshaun Watson is a quarterback that doesn't want to play quarterback anymore. He's just there to collect the check, just going through the motion. So, you know what? Let me go with trash Daniel Jones. Let me go New York Giants getting their first win in Cleveland. I don't see Cleveland really doing that much. I'm not going to touch this game and put bread on it. But, you know, like I said, I like an upset game here. Let me go Giants over the trash. Both teams are trash, but let me go Giants with their first win all year. And then we got the Carolina Panthers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, everybody's upset. You know, saying Bryce Young is done. He got benched for Andy Dalton, all this. But look, no, the future's bright for Bryce Young. I don't think he's a bust just yet. I know he's a number 1 overall pick, you know, before C.J. Stroud was number 2, which is pretty crazy, right? We look at C.J. Stroud and realizing, wow, he's panning out way better than Bryce Young right now. However, that doesn't mean he's going to have a better career. I do think Bryce Young still has a lot of potential. We look at Carolina. I think it's Carolina's organization that hurts players. It really does. I mean, they had Sam Darnold. They've written him off. Now he's looking great. They had Baker Mayfield. They've written him off. Now Baker Mayfield's looking great. Cam Newton was there at once upon a time. Like, Christian McCaffrey was there once upon a time. I just think Carolina right now is just one of those programs where they're just trash organization. They're like the Cleveland Browns right now. They're just trying to find their identity. They just don't know who they are. They're just trash. But let me go Raiders right now. You know, Minshew's locked in. Zamir White, you know, I'm looking for big games here. And then obviously Devontae Adams, 1 touchdown, 169 yards receiving. I'm going Raiders at home. I think this is a must-win game for the Raiders. They're benching their guy right now in Bryce Young. So let me go Las Vegas Raiders at home. I'll take them money line. I think 5 is a little too much, even though it's probably still a safe bet. I'll take the 5 spread too. I just don't like it. I just don't like betting on the spreads. I just don't, dude. The spreads are just, they get a lot of people. They really do. And when people hit the parlays, it's typically the last bet they bet. They bet on the spread, and the spread ends up missing. So that's why I hate betting on these spreads. But let me get the Las Vegas Raiders over the trash Carolina Panthers. And then we got the Miami Dolphins in Seattle. Seattle's 2-0 right now. Seattle's a 4-point favorite. Let me go Seattle. I think Dolphins without Tua, they placed him on the IR for a while now. So over a month or so, it's just funny. Everybody in the media said, is Tua going to retire to his family because he got a couple concussions? They never said that about, old school football players like Ray Lewis or, like people who would get concussions. They weren't like, oh, hey, are you going to retire to protect your family? It was when they got concussions, it was like, hey, are you going to be back for the next game? It wasn't like, hey, are you going to retire and, and settle off into the sunset? No, dude. Like, I just think the narrative now is just so different than what it used to be 20 years ago. When players would get a concussion, they would literally say, hey, are you available to play next week? Like, straight up, there's no retirement talk. Like, that's crazy to me. Tua talking retirement, man. Like, come on, dude. Like, why don't they say that about the other players who went through all that, who had concussions, who dealt with concussions every single week? Like, they don't say that about him, but, hey, he's a quarterback, though. That's why. So let's give him leverage here. I just think it's so funny where people are talking retirement, man. Like, come on, bro. This is football. We know what we signed up for. CTE's part of it. Like, that's just part of the game. Like, that's what you play for. Like, you're going to develop some type of CTE. You're not telling me linebackers, old school linemen didn't develop CTE throughout their careers? Absolutely. And did their coach ever talk about retirement to them? No, dude. Like, get out of here with that crap. Like, Tua's coming back. We know this. I mean, even though I do think it's dangerous for him, I really do. But let me go Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks, the more experienced team right now. Kenneth Walker, I do think he's questionable. Looks like he might be out. But I still like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I like the experience right now. So let me go Seattle. I think right now, Miami, they're 1-1. They're trying to find who they are. Yes, they got A-Chain and Tyreek Hill, but it's just like, man, Miami right now, they're a flashy team. They're like a flashy Corvette, but eventually it's going to depreciate in value over time, and that's the Miami Dolphins. All flash, no freaking demeanor whatsoever. No juice. They just got all flash. That's all. That's all they got. They just got a good diamond chain. That's it. That's all they got to show for it. So let me go Seattle. In Seattle, I'll take the spread as well. I'll do that. But let me go Seattle and Seattle. And then we got the Baltimore Ravens versus the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are playing at home on a 4 o'clock slate. Baltimore's actually favored by 1. Come game time, I think it's going to be a 50-50 type of game. But you know what? I bet on the Cowboys last weekend, and I'm not going to do it again this weekend. Let me go Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are 0-2 right now. Lamar's not used to that. He's used to, really being 1-1 or 2-0 right now in this spot. But right now they're 0-2, and I think for the Baltimore Ravens, they got to get locked in here. They do not want to start off 0-3. I'm going Ravens here. Why? Because I'm betting against the Dallas Cowboys, who literally just got put up 40-plus points on their defense. So Dallas, another flashy team who's just all finesse, no juice whatsoever, man. They're like the Miami Dolphins. They really are. The Cowboys, everybody, America's team, America's all this and that. But Jerry Jones, at the end of the day, man, he's getting way past his prime. He's old. He shouldn't even be signing checks anymore, dude. He's too old for this. Like, give it down to one of your siblings, bro. Like, one of your relatives. Because right now, what the Dallas Cowboys organization is doing is not right. You're keeping a guy, Dak Prescott, who's won 2 playoff games in 8 years. Like, what are you guys doing? This is another Tony Romo 2.0. What I'm trying to tell Cowboy fans is you guys are not going to win a Super Bowl as long as Dak Prescott is your quarterback. I'm sorry. Just point blank period. Yes, you got CeeDee Lamb, a great receiver, and all this stuff, but let me go Baltimore, man. I think Lamar Jackson eats. I think he rushes for over 100 yards this game, and I think Baltimore wins in a very tight game. I think they win by 3 or 4 points, something like that. But let me go Baltimore, man. I'm not sold on the Cowboys. The Cowboys every single year say this and that. At the end of the day, the Cowboys are prima donnas. That's who they are. That's who they always will be until they get a new system in there, a new quarterback, or else they're going to be the same old Cowboys. They're going to be a great regular season team. Come playoff time, when the big boys come to play, they're going to get pushed around and bullied either by the San Francisco 49ers or whoever the case it is. They're just going to get bitched around like some bitches. For real. Excuse my language, but seriously, they're going to get bitched around. So let me go Ravens, the away team right now against the Dallas Cowboys. And then we got the Detroit Lions versus the Arizona Cardinals. You know, Detroit's 3-point favorites, but right now, man, what I saw from the Cardinals is something special. I think this game has the potential to go to an overtime game. I think it's going to be a nail-biter. I think it's going to be a super sweaty game. You know, you got Kyler Murray locked in, 4 touchdowns. You finally had Marvin Harrison Jr. score 2 tutties last weekend, just straight balling, over 100 yards receiving. So I obviously think Detroit's the better team right now. I do. I think overall they are. There's just more in the trenches more. But, You know what? Let me go with the upset here. Let me go Arizona at home. What I saw from them last weekend, they got Trey McBride. They got different. They play very similar to Detroit Lions offensively. They have great tight ends, great receiving core, solid running backs. James Conner. I just like Arizona. I think Kyler Murray plays nice at home. The home game on the 4 o'clock slate. I just think it's nice, man. I think the Lions right now are going to go down 1-2. 1-2 overall, which they'll bounce back. They will. I think they will, but St. Brown's questionable right now. He's banged up at the moment, but it's going to be interesting to see how Detroit bounces back. Detroit took it out to Tampa last weekend, and they should have won that game. They were favorites that game. Let me go Arizona this weekend. And then we got the San Francisco 49ers versus the LA Rams. Look, the Rams, man, I think, it's just, I don't know what to think of the Rams. I really don't. 49ers are 7-point favorites right now. You got Puka out. You got Cooper Kupp out. Just a lot of injuries. Let me go 49ers here. I'll probably go money line with the safer bet, but let me go 49ers. I mean, you got Debo. You got Brock Purdy. He's solid. Even though Debo is doubtful, probably will miss some time. That's sad to hear. So that means Ayuk's going to step up. George Kittle's going to step up. So let me get San Francisco here. I think San Francisco's going to really just run right through the LA Rams. The Rams, man, I just think they're just too banged up. They just got too many injuries, and that's part of football. It's like, man, if you're a receiver, you want to be there for your team every single game, but obviously some players can't, like Puka and Cooper Kupp. A lot of flashiness, but it's like when it comes to the gritty of football, where are you guys at? We need you right now. These are the moments where you need big-time players in big-time situations right now to make the playoffs. In these games right here, we're going to look back at week 3 and say, hey, this is why they didn't make the playoffs, or we're going to say, hey, this is why they did make the playoffs. But let me get the 49ers over the LA Rams. And then we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Atlanta Falcons. Chiefs are 2-0 right now, which was expected. They're 3.5-point favorites. Atlanta's 1-1. Got a huge victory on Monday Night Football. I think this game is going to be close. I think Pacheco being out is a huge loss for the Kansas City Chiefs. Pacheco was their heart and soul offensively. Yes, they got Xavier Worthy. They got Travis Kelce. They got some dogs. I get that. But right now, let me go with the upset game. Let me go Atlanta Falcons here. What I saw from Kirk Cousins, Drake London, they were locked in last weekend, man. Mooney was locked in. Robinson was locked in. I'm telling you right now, I think what I've seen from Atlanta, a little bit more battle-tested right now in this, first 2 weeks. So let me go Atlanta. I think the loss to Pacheco right now is going to be out for a couple months. So that's a huge loss. Yes, they got Carson Steele, rookie running back from Indiana. Shout out to Carson Steele, but it's just going to be a long shot now. It's going to be hard. We're going to see Mahomes really see his true colors without his boy. Pacheco was his Mayan guy, was his dude, always be there for him. So I just think him being out is going to take a big loss for the Kansas City Chiefs. But let me go Atlanta Falcons here, man, with the huge upset on Sunday Night Football. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be locked in. Atlanta Falcons going to be locked in. I can't wait for that matchup, man. Let me go with that huge upset. Atlanta over the Kansas City Chiefs. And then we got the Monday Night Football games. We got 2 games. First game, we got Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Buffalo Bills. Bills are 2-0. Jacksonville's 0-2. Buffalo is 5-point favorites. Now, this could be a sucker bet. It really can. I can see Jacksonville coming out on fire. But look, I'm going Buffalo here. Nothing convinces me to pick Jacksonville right now. What I've seen from Trevor Lawrence, just 1 touchdown, a lot of mediocrity, just average at best. ETN, 2 tutties. Brian Thomas Jr., a touchdown, 141 yards receiving for Jacksonville. But let me go Buffalo. Let me go Josh Allen. Let me go experience here. Josh Allen, 2 tutties, or 3 tutties, excuse me. James Cook, 2 touchdowns. And he's got a couple receiving. So, and Shakir, touchdown. Let me go Buffalo, dude. At home, Josh Allen plays great on Monday Night Football games at home. Let me go Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I just think Jacksonville, man, they're just who we thought they were. Trevor Lawrence is just really an okay quarterback. Trevor Lawrence hasn't proven anything since he's gotten in the league. Like, he hasn't proven that he's an elite quarterback. He just hasn't. So until Trevor Lawrence proves to me that he's an elite quarterback, then I'll bet on the Jacksonville Jaguars. But right now, my money's on the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. And I like James Cook to score anytime touchdown as well. And then we got another Monday Night Football game. The Washington Commanders versus the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are 2.5-point favorites. This is a huge game for the Cincinnati Bengals. They do not want to start off 0-3, so I'm going Cincinnati at home on Monday Night Football. They knew they gave the game away to Kansas City last weekend. Joe Burrow, yes, he fumbled. You know, there were some other miscues as well. Joe Burrow just trying to make an extra play. I get that. But I'm not blaming Joe Burrow for that loss. I'm blaming the whole organization as a team for losing that game. You know, but let's bounce back. Joe Burrow's got 2 touchdowns. Zach Moss has got a tutty. Let me go Bengals at home. You know, Jaden Daniels, he's going to be a future superstar. I really believe in Jaden Daniels. I think a lot of people written him off out of LSU. I mean, this kid can play. He really can. I think the future's bright in Washington. You got Brian Robinson Jr., you got Eckler, great running back core. But let me go Cincinnati here. Let me go Joe Burrow, get back in the win column. Is Cincinnati going to be about that life this year? Is Cincinnati going to go to the playoffs to make a deep run with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow? Is it going to be? Or is there going to be excuses? You know, we saw Chase last weekend really kind of blew the game for them. Before Joe Burrow fumbled, you know, Jamar Chase got that flag for yelling at the refs. Just unnecessary stuff, unprofessional. It's like, Jamar Chase, if you really want $35 million a year, you're not going to act like that. You're not going to cost your team an extra 15 yards that could have been a field goal, and you could have won the game. Instead, you guys lost by 1 or 2. It's spooky to me. So Jamar Chase needs to get his head on straight. You'll get the deal next year. Like, it's part of life. Like, you're not going to get that deal right now. Jamar Chase needs to lock in, because if Jamar Chase does not lock in with Joe Burrow, Cincinnati won't even make the playoffs this year. That's how critical this situation is right now in Cincinnati. They need to turn it around, and Monday Night Football is the game to turn it around. So Joe Burrow and Cincinnati and company, please turn it around. I cannot wait. Week 3, some packed games. It's going to be litty as a titty. Let me go Atlanta Falcons, the biggest upset all weekend over the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Ravens-Cowboys is definitely a 50-50 type of game. And then I like the Chargers, the away team. But that's the biggest upset all weekend in Thursday Night Football game. I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall going to eat against the Patriots. It's the Clouded with Cap Show. It's week 3. Let's go!